Hey everybody, welcome back. So today we actually have an update to a story that we covered a few days ago from Sagging First Nation. They had found 190 anomalies at the Fort Alexander Residential School. And it looks like the RCMP here in Winnipeg are making at least one arrest involving the abuse that happened at the residential school. So I want to watch their little release here through CTV. We'll add some commentary and we'll see where this goes. I will link the previous video in the description of this one, so you can watch that one, and there will probably be something up on the screen right over there. So yeah, go ahead and watch that if you haven't already seen it, but we're going to go ahead and jump into this and see what's going on. So stay tuned.
We want to take you to Winnipeg now. We're getting a live update from the RCMP on a charge laid in relation to an investigation at a residential school. Let's listen.
Arrested retired father Arthur Moss, 92 years of age, at his residence in Winnipeg on a charge of indecent assault in relation to a sexual assault that occurred more than 50 years ago. The victim of the assault was a 10-year-old female student of Fort Alexander Residential School, where Moss was employed. The offense occurred between 1968 and 1970. This arrest is a culmination of a decade of work by RCMP investigators who would not have been able to bring this to a conclusion without the incredible bravery of the victims and witnesses who were willing to relive past trauma and speak about what took place. In February 2010, allegations of sexual abuse at the Fort Alexander Residential School were made to the Manitoba RCMP's Major Crime Services. Investigators began to gather information to determine what took place as well as the scope of the occurrences. A criminal investigation was launched in 2011. Officers conducted archival research and spoke to or interacted with more than 700 people across North America throughout this investigation in an effort to locate any possible victims or witnesses. Investigators combed through thousands of documents, including student lists, employee lists, and quarterly returns in order to identify any possible victims. In total, 75 witness and victim statements were obtained by police. More than 80 RCMP investigators have been engaged with this investigation. The question may be asked, why, with all this work, was there one charge laid and not many? Unfortunately, due to the passage of time, many of the victims are not able to participate in the investigation, whether that be for mental or physical health reasons, or because the victim is now deceased. The RCMP was very aware of the effect our investigation was having on the community. The emotional trauma experienced by victims of abuse is very real, and despite the years that have intervened between the alleged occurrences and when police were investigating, that trauma was still present.
So I just want to commend, this feels weird, I want to commend the Manitoba RCMP for taking this from a situation in which I don't think most people were expecting to see charges laid on crimes that occurred in the 60s. I don't think most people would have expected that. So I want to say that they did a good job here, and that they were able to hopefully find justice for the victims of this genocide and this abuse, this violence. And I want to just say that they did a good job here, and they should be doing more of this. And I know it takes a long time, and I know it takes a lot of effort, and I know it takes a lot of resources and people and training and knowledge to do all of this. But if we're going to be funding our police services as much as we already are, they should be serving the people of this country and helping to get justice for victims of abuse by our system. So, well done, and we're going to continue watching this update and this news conference.
Investigators were aware of that trauma and approached the investigation in a way intended to limit further injury. We made sure any potential victims were given the time they needed to consider their options and whether they wanted to relive their trauma by providing statements and potentially going through the court process. We also engaged with First Nations leadership in Manitoba, including the Grand Chiefs of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs and the Southern Chiefs Organization, and the Chief and Council of Sag-King First Nation, the community most closely affected by this investigation. At this time, Moss has been released with conditions and will appear in court on July 20th, 2022. This is the only investigation into residential schools underway by the Manitoba RCMP. With this charge...
That's a little bit disappointing that this is the only investigation the only accusation or system that's currently under investigation by the RCMP. That's a little bit disappointing, but again, they did good work here. So we have to give them at least some sort of credit for that.
The investigation has been concluded. If anyone else comes forward to speak to police, we will absolutely follow up, but we are not actively investigating any further at this time. There is no time limit to report a sexual assault to police. If you wish to report a sexual assault, you can contact your local police to make a report, or you can report the crime through a third party, such as Clinic Community Health. In being here today and speaking to you about this investigation, we are certainly not trying to make this about the RCMP and the work done by investigators. Our focus today, as it has always been, is the victims of crime. The victim in this case has endured a lot throughout the investigative process and has stood firm in speaking out about what happened to her. The most important thing to her today is she was heard.
So I will say well done to the RCMP for catching this pedophile priest who actively partook in a cultural and physical genocide against Indigenous people in Canada, and justice will hopefully be given to the victim and the victim's families. And what we know is that this victim had to deal with this for 60 years, 50 years. And this priest is just now getting caught. And while this is an important day, we have to remember that this is one case. And that most of these people that committed these crimes will never face any sort of justice because they're probably already dead. And so whatever we need to do with this guy, we need to set an example with this one. I don't care that he's a 92-year-old. Throw him in jail, throw away the keys. This is absolutely unacceptable. And the fact that it did take this long is understandable in certain aspects. But yeah, if I say any more, I'm probably going to get in trouble. So our thoughts are with the victim and the victim's families and Sag-King First Nation. And we want to ensure that we support them. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found out something that you didn't know today. And if you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel. And if you are interested in learning more, check out my website, laborliberty.ca. That's LABURLIBEY.ca. Until tomorrow, everybody, have yourselves a fantastic day. Peace.